Hi, and welcome to today's shoulder sequence. Today, all you will need is a strap or a belt or scarf or a towel or a TheraBand. Any of those will work, and a mat. Let's get started. Begin in a comfortable seated position. Roll your shoulders back and down, squeezing your scapulas together. I like to have my arms bent and tight fists so that I can actively think of pulling them back together. Then go ahead and tuck your chin to make a double chin and bring your ear down to your shoulder. Look down to your armpit and actively try to pull your shoulder down while you're gently pulling your ear closer to it. Then shake your head no. Look towards your armpit, look up towards the ceiling. Nice and slow movements. Keep thinking of bringing your shoulders down and back, squeezing your scapulas together, and then return to a neutral position, and now shake your head yes. Nice and slow movements. Let your neck slowly move from the front to the back, making as big of a yes motion with your head as you can. Remember to keep those shoulders strong, squeezing together. When you come back to neutral, let your head roll around to the front and then over to the other side. Re-engage your scapulas and then shake your head no. Giant nose. Look down to your armpit, then up to the ceiling. Nice and slow. Keep the scapulas squeezing together, ribs tucked in. Return to neutral and then make a giant yes with your head. Roll your neck back and forth. Keep pulling your shoulder down. All the way from the front to the back, nice and slow. Return to neutral, then roll your head across the front. When you get to the other side, let it roll back to the first side. Nice and slow, back and forth. We're going to do 3 or 4 rotations on the front, and then when we return back to the other side, we'll let our head fall around to the back and do 3 to 4 on the back. Remember to keep those scapulas squeezing together, nice and strong. Keep pulling your shoulders down away from your ears. Let your head be heavy. Gently roll it all the way to the back. And this time, when you go around to the back, you could do a full circle. We'll do 2 full circles in one direction, and then pause, and we'll roll around to the other direction. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Now roll to the other direction. Keep squeezing those scapulas, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. Gently roll in the other direction. Nice and slow. From here, go ahead and get up on your knees. You can have your knees be a little bit wider apart. This will just give you better grounding. And then we're going to reach overhead and interlace our fingers. I like to leave my pointer fingers up just so that I have a little more sense of how my hands are pulling. Then we're going to grow really tall. Bring your shoulders up to your ears and think of bending only at the rib cage. Bend over to the side and then let the rest of your body pull itself over. Keep pushing your hips in the opposite direction. Look up towards the ceiling to make sure you're opening up your rib cage, and breathe 3 to 4 deep breaths down at the bottom. Then gently pull yourself back up top, uncross your hands, and cross them the opposite way. This will feel awkward. Again, deep breath in, pull your shoulders up to your ears. Starting at the rib cage, bend over to the other direction. And then pull over the rest of your side body. Look up to the ceiling so that you're not caving forward. 3 to 4 deep breaths here. Use the breath, your rib cage expanding, to give even more of an active stretch here. Then come back up to the top. Unlace your fingers. Interlace them back the easy way. Deep breath in, shoulders to your ears, grow nice and tall, and then start reaching over. You'll notice that you can go a little bit farther this time. Think of actively pulling your top hand over more with your bottom hand. This is why I like to have my pointer fingers, because it gives me a gauge of whether I'm pulling enough from the bottom. Then come back to the top, interlace your fingers the opposite way. Big breath in, shoulders up to your ears, and start leaning over the other direction. Look up to the ceiling, make sure you're not caving over towards the front. Pull that side body over, actively squeeze the side that you are bending. Think of trying to bring your shoulder down to your hip. Come back up to the top and take a seat. For this one, I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see what I'm doing a little easier. You're going to have your hands flat out in front of you, and then turn your fingertips so that they're facing towards you, close to your knees. I like to have my fingers nice and spread, and then you are going to push hard into the mat and start pulling your fingers back towards you. Really spider your fingers. So the ball of my hand, of my palm, is pushing very hard into the mat, and then I'm crunching my fingers up closer so that it's like spider legs. My entire palm, though, is pushing hard against the mat. As you do this, you can start to bend your elbows backwards. Then we'll take a break and we'll give them a nice passive stretch and see how far back you can pull. Be very gentle here. Then we'll actively spider our fingers again. Try to bend at the elbows to get even more of a stretch and activation through the forearms. Squeeze the mat. Try pulling the mat from underneath your knees towards your hand. And then passively stretch them. Give them a second to rest and lengthen. And then we'll do another round. Spider your fingers towards your palms. Actively bend your arms. Try to grip the mat into a ball. Pull, 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 and then let go and passively stretch them back. This next exercise is going to be bending our wrist the opposite way. So make two fists nice and tight, thumbs in front of your fingers. Put your fists together and down onto the floor, and we're going to be straightening our arms up. The back of your hand should be against the floor. So start with elbows bent against the floor, straighten up. Then elbows bent against the floor, and do a push-up. These are actually called drunken master push-ups. As you push up, make your fist even tighter. Do not let your hand open up. Only straighten your arms as much as you can keep a tight fist. If your fist starts to uncurl, then don't go any farther. Don't make your arms any straighter. Do a few rounds of these. Actively push the back of your hand into the ground, into the mat. Try to keep it flat against the mat. And when you get to the top, squeeze your fists even tighter. And now one last active wrist stretch that I will show you from the side here. We are going to be working in the other direction again on our flexion. So what I want you to do is to push with the ground with all your might, push your palm into the ground. We'll do this for 5 counts, and then we'll lift off. And when you lift off, try to keep your hands just as parallel to the floor as they were when you were pushing. So this is the amount of flexibility that you own. This is how much you can actively pull your wrist into that position. So we'll push into the ground for 5 counts and then lift off. And push into the ground for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And push. Notice each time I'm pushing, I'm leaning forward a little more. 3, 2, 1. And then we will lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job. Now from here, let's move into a tabletop position. Knees should be directly under your hips, hands should be directly under your shoulders. We'll start by only elevating and depressing our chest. So let your chest pull down in between your shoulders and then push it up towards the ceiling. Try to keep the rest of your spine neutral. Try to keep your shoulders away from your ears, pulling your shoulders down across your back, and keep actively pulling your chest down, then pushing it up to the ceiling. These are called scapula push-ups. Your arms should be nice and straight and strong. Now we'll switch to our hips. So tilt your pelvis back and forth. This will look like you're swaying your lower back up and down. Your shoulders should not be moving here. This is only your pelvis tilting, anterior and posterior tilts. So think of tucking your tail under and then doing a Kim Kardashian butt. Back and forth, we're doing 10 in each position. Once you get to 10, we're going to alternate now. So first, let your shoulders depress, tilt the hips, push up the shoulders, and tilt the hips. Back and forth, shoulders down, shoulders up, hips up. Down, down, up, up. So we're breaking the spine into two parts. Now the hips first, and then the shoulders. Hips down, hips up, shoulders up. As I'm moving one body part, I'm locking the other into place. And now both of them together. Cat and cow all the way, trying to get a full range of motion of your spine, all the way down and all the way up. Think of pushing your mid-back up into the ceiling, and think of pulling your belly button and your chest down to the floor. Keep your arms nice and straight, nice and strong. Go ahead and come back to a kneeling position. Find your strap or TheraBand, scarf, belt, whatever you can find. And we're going to grab it in one hand and hang it over our back. And then with the other hand, we're going to reach and grab it so that our thumbs are pointing towards each other. So my top hand thumb is pointing down, bottom hand thumb is pointing up. And now we're going to straighten our arms. You might have to widen your grip just a little bit so that you can get your arms nice and straight. Tuck your ribs in, and now move your arms from front to back. So you're going to be pulling with your top arm to move your bottom arm up, then pulling with your bottom arm to move your top arm down. So it's like a tug of war between your two arms, top to bottom. We're going to be doing 10 reps here. Make sure to keep those ribs nice and tucked. You want the motion to be in line with your body, so the band should always be passing straight over my head, not at some sort of angle to the side. Try to keep tension between the band as you're pulling as well. Now we're going to lock our shoulders into place and move our thoracic spine. So I'm really letting my ribs flare open as my bottom arm pulls me down, and I'm really tucking over as my top arm pulls me over. 10 like this. So now I'm really letting my spine and my rib cage do all of the motion and all of the work here. Keep tension in the band. Make sure it's nice and tight. Your arms should be actively pulling away from each other, and you're using your thoracic spine and your rib cage to really do all of the motion here. Once you get to 10, we'll switch to the other side. Place the band in your other hand, hang it over your back. With your other arm, grab it. Again, your thumb should be pointing towards each other. The top hand, the thumb is pointing down. The bottom hand, the thumb is pointing up. You might have to widen your grip and then straighten your arms out again. So they're straight back behind you. And then remember to lock the ribs in place first, and moving only your arms up and down, we're going to play tug of war with our arms. We have 10 tugs to do. Keep the band nice and tight, keep tension, keep the arms straight, pull the band straight over top of you. 3, 2, and last one. Great job. Now you can unlock your ribs, readjust your hands if you need to, and we are going to open up our rib cage, hunch over, and then flare open our ribs, and hunch over, and flare open to the ceiling. Again, keep tension in the band. We want our arms to be nice and straight. And now we're using our spine and our ribs and our core to really open up to the ceiling and then hunch all the way over. We'll do 10 again. 3, 2, nice straight arms, and last one. Great work. Now again with the strap, we are going to place our hands a generous distance apart, so much wider than your shoulders for these first couple of rounds. And then start lifting your arms, but I want you to think of actively pushing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep breath in, bring your shoulders up to your ears, and then pass through your head and around to the back. Relax. Start bringing your arms up. Actively push the shoulders down. Deep breath in, shoulders up to your ears, and pass your hands over your head around to the front. With each round that you do, you can try to walk your hands in just a little bit. Don't rush walking your hands in though. Get the motion down first, and then you can narrow your grip later. If you don't shrug your shoulders up to your ears, it will be very hard and painful to get a pass through. As you come around to the back, start lifting the hands up, shrug the shoulders to your ears, and around to the front. As soon as you pass through, push the shoulders down and lower your arms. Again, you can narrow your grip if you like. Actively pull the shoulders away from your ears until you can't anymore. Shrug them up. Keep the scapula squeezing together, and then come all the way back down. Reverse it. Shrug the shoulders to the ears, pass through, and come down. Keep tension on the band when you're coming down on either side. Don't rush coming back to a starting or ending position. Keep tension on the band and keep actively pulling it so that you really get the full motion. Shrug the shoulders to the ear, pass over the head, push the shoulders back down, and come back to neutral. All right, we're done with the strap for now. So to set up for the next exercise, swimmers, we're going to place our hands behind our head, and we're going to actively pull our elbows back away from our face to open up our chest. Lift hands off the back of your neck, arms straight overhead, out to the side to make a T. Rotate the palms to face the back wall. Hover above your lower back, and then rest. Lift the hands off, out to a T. Rotate the palms to face the front. Straight overhead. Bend the elbows behind the head. Hover and rest. Lift off. Straight arms out on top, to the side, rotate the palms, bend the elbows, hover and rest, lift off, out to the side, rotate the palms, straight up, bend the elbows, hover and rest, lift off, straight arms up, out to the side, rotate to the back wall, bend the elbows, hover and rest. Lift off, out to the side, rotate the palms, straight overhead, behind the head, hover and rest. Lift off, straight up, out to a T, rotate the palms, bend the elbows, hover and rest. Lift off, out to the side, rotate the palms, straight up, bend the elbows, hover, and rest. Lift off, straight up, out to a T, rotate, bend the elbows, hover, and rest. Lift off, out to a T, rotate, straight up, bend the elbows, hover, and rest. From here, make your way down to the ground. You want to place your forearms right in front of your knees. You're going to place one arm behind the head. We're going to do this in several steps. So start with your elbow down on the ground, then lift up the elbow, push the other shoulder up, and then open up the elbow to the side so that you can look up towards the ceiling. Keep pushing strong in that grounding arm. Take 4 deep breaths at the top and then come back to the beginning. First the elbow, push through the other shoulder, and then open up. 1, 2, 3, and then slowly make your way back down. Lift just the elbow, push the bottom shoulder, open up. Each time twist open a little bit more. Think of making a straight line from one elbow to the next. 3 deep breaths, and then back. Just the elbow, push with the shoulder, and open. Nice deep breaths. Use your breath and your rib cage expansion to increase the twist even more. Think of breathing with your rib cage and not your belly. Lift just the elbow, then the shoulder, and open up. Deep, deep breaths, open towards the ceiling, pushing the collarbone forward, extending the elbow as far back as you can. Now switch to the other side. Place your hand behind your head. Open just the elbow. Push up through the other shoulder and open up towards the ceiling. Think of pulling your elbow towards your back, pushing your collarbone forward. Come back down. Lift the elbow, push through the bottom shoulder, and open up. Slow, deep breaths here. Use your breath to open up the twist even more. And come back down. Lift the elbow, push through the bottom shoulder and open up. With each set, try to twist open a little more at the top and come back down. Lift just the elbow, then push through the bottom shoulder and open up. 3 deep breaths at the top. Keep trying to push through that bottom shoulder. Lift the elbow, push with the shoulder, and open up your chest. Keep twisting your rib cage more and more open. Now we're going to make our way to a seated position with our feet out in front of us. Our hands are going to be just behind us. Fingers facing away from your body. We're going to be doing some crab elevations here. I want you to think of first lifting your collarbone up towards the ceiling, pushing your shoulders down, and then we're going to lift our bodies up, lift our bottom up off the ground. If you only lift your bottom just a little bit, that's fine. Go at your own pace. What's most important is that your shoulders do not cave, that they don't roll forward in an internal rotation. You don't want your chest to drop down to the ground. You want to keep that same chest elevation the entire time you're lifting up. Come back to seated. First, lift your chest up, find that scapular engagement, lock the shoulders in, and then lift your hips up. The more you squeeze your butt here, the more lift you'll get. Again, don't let your chest cave. Push your chest up towards the ceiling. This should be a really strong workout for your triceps as well as your scapulas. Take a rest. Lift the chest first. Find the scapular engagement. And then lift your bottom off the floor. Push up through your feet. Push the chest up towards the ceiling. Push, push, push. Squeeze the shoulders more. And relax. Lift the chest. Lock the shoulders into place. Lift the bottom and push with all your might. Lift that chest up towards the ceiling as high as you can. Keep pushing. See if you can get the hips a little bit higher each time, and relax. And again, lift the chest, open it up, draw those shoulders back and down together, and then lift the hips. Push up to the ceiling. Keep the arms nice and strong, don't let them collapse, and relax. You want to remember that shoulder activation for this next exercise. Extend one leg out straight and keep the other bent. And then with the straight leg side, you want to bring that arm to the back as well. And then have your other arm in front of your leg, and we're going to swipe it across at this 45-degree rainbow. Your head will follow your fingertips. Starting at our foot, and do this 45-degree rainbow arc towards the back. So that is the motion of our arm, and now we will add our bottom. So as our arm goes back, we're going to lift our butt up, and we're going to be pushing through that grounding arm the same way that we just did in those crabs. Don't sink down, push up. And then come back down, get solid in the shoulder, and push. You want to keep that same solid shoulder with the activation of your scapula, just like we did in those crab liftoffs. So again, push and open up. Nice and strong shoulder, nice and strong arm. Trust that arm to hold you up. If it feels comfortable, you can walk your hand just a little bit closer. Nice strong arm. Your head follows your reaching arm the entire way. Again, you can walk your hand a little bit closer and lift. And lift. Each time, get nice and strong in your grounding arm. Don't let the chest cave in. Think of that same elevation that we did in the previous exercise. Switch sides. Extend the bent leg, bend the straight leg. Place your hand behind you. You're going to be grounding in the side with the straight leg, fingers facing the back wall. And again, we'll start with our hand in front of our knee and make a 45-degree rainbow from the front to the back. Your head is going to follow your hand. You can practice really pushing your chest through here, just like we did in that crab exercise. And now we can, after this last rep, we can add our hips. So get strong in your grounding arm and lift off. You're using your bent leg to help push your bottom up to the ceiling, and your shoulder is letting you hold that stability as you arch over. We have 5 total of these. And lift. Stay nice and strong in that shoulder. And come back down. Walk the hand in if it feels comfortable. Lift. And come back down. And lift. Keep the shoulders strong. Don't let your chest collapse. And come back down. Now you can go ahead and make your way down to the ground. We're going to be laying on our backs. We're going to be doing different variations of a dead bug hold, but we're going to be doing it for a minute. So you can either have your legs out at 90 and arms straight up. No matter where you are, your low back needs to be pressing actively against the ground. So you could be here or extend your legs out a little more. 1 minute, ready, go. Wherever you find that you are, make sure that you're actively pushing your belly down into the ground. Don't let any part of your spine leave the mat. Maybe you can lower your arms a little more. Maybe your feet want to lower a little more. Wherever you are, keep stitching your ribs together, thinking of drawing your core all into one central location at your belly button and pushing that all down into the mat. More than halfway there. Keep going, guys. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. Now we're going to flip over and do a 1-minute plank. This will be slightly different though. I want you to go ahead and get into a normal plank setup, but face your fingers out more to the side. So we're going to turn our hands so that they're facing outwards and maybe a little bit wider than our shoulders. And I want you to protract your shoulders and lean forward as much as you can. And hold for 1 minute. So we're actively pushing our upper mid-back up towards the ceiling. We're protracting those shoulders, pushing down into the ground as hard as we can. You'll probably be leaning forward towards your toes. Keep squeezing your butt so that it doesn't pike up to the ceiling. You want to try to keep your hips tucked. Good job, we're more than halfway there. Keep leaning forward. Push those arms straight. Think of pushing your chest up to the ceiling. Keep pushing, almost there, guys. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Excellent job. Go ahead as our final moves. Interlace your fingers in front of you and push your shoulders away. Really round your back. And now pretend like you're driving your car. Steering one way and then the other way. Nice and gentle, nice and slow. Just try to move out any last little tightness that you might have in your back. Relax. Uncross your fingers, recross them the opposite way. This will feel weird. Again, push your shoulders away. And now we're going to swing from side to side. Back and forth, nice and slow. You should feel this nicely across your lats. Swing from side to side, very gentle. Now with 2 fingers, place it on top of your head and gently pull your head over towards your shoulder. Super gentle, nice and soft. This should be a very relaxing stretch. And release. On the other side, 2 fingers on your temple. Gently let your head fall over to the other side. Give those traps and neck a nice, gentle release. And relax. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Cheers.